because my throat is really sore, so I'm sucking on a cough drop right now. But my name is John Miller, and I'm the president of the Public Speaking Club. And I have here with me this evening Anita, who's been serving with us for the past 2 years, Shreyas in the back, who's working with the camera, Namori over here, and am I forgetting anyone? We've got another, the vice president is on her way. She's going to be here midway through. But I wanted to kick it off this morning with a short 2-minute video, and then we'll go from there.
We're all right. We will live. Shame on you.
This could be the greatest night of our lives. But you're gonna let it be the worst.
And I guarantee you, we won't go by in your life. You won't regret walking out, letting them get the best of you.
Well, I'm not going home.
We've got too far, and I'm gonna stay right here and fight for this lost cause. A day may come when the courage of men fails, but it is not this day.
The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther.
I'm not saying it's going to be easy.
You're gonna work harder than you ever worked before.
But that's fine, we'll just get tougher with it.
If a person grits his teeth and shows real determination,
failure is not an option.
That's how winning is done.
Believe me when I say
We can break this army here.
And win just one for the giver.
Look, I say to you, what every warrior has known since the beginning of time.
You've got to get mad.
I mean plumb mad dog mean.
If you would be free men, then you will
fight to fulfill that promise. Let us cut out their living guts 1 inch at a time.
And they will know what we can do!
Let no man forget how menacing we are. We are lions.
You're like a big bear, man.
This is your time.
Seize the day.
Never surrender. Victory or death.
Bitch, this your gun.
Who's with me?
Clap! Clap! Don't let him die! Clap!
All right, let's fly. And gentlemen in England, now beg, shall know my name is the Lord. When I tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our Independence Day.
Clearly, I'm not trying to advertise any of those movies, although most of them I would argue are pretty solid. But I think what all of those have in common is everyone is giving a speech to some extent, and I think we wrongly attribute public speaking to, standing behind a podium and giving a written speech to an audience of 500. When in fact, public speaking deals with everyday communication between one person, 5 people, 10 people, and of course, behind a podium and to 500 people. But the idea is that you can't ever get to that level unless you start small and you're speaking in front of a group like this. So I think this is an incredible setting for all of you guys and girls to practice speaking, and you'll see tremendous improvement. I can see a couple familiar faces from last year, and I've seen amazing improvement amongst them just in 1 semester. So let that be an encouragement to all of you that if you stick it out, if you're here every week, you will totally see some improvement in your public speaking. So, and I'd love to see that with all of you. So, I first want to go over a couple things. Who are we and what exactly do we do? So, we are the Public Speaking Club at Georgia Tech. Some of you might be aware that there's a Toastmasters Club, part of Georgia Tech, but it meets at 7 a.m. on Thursdays. So for most of us college students, I know at least for me, that's not an ideal time. I'm usually not up at that hour. So we exist for undergraduates and graduates to come here week in and week out to practice in front of an audience. And the way we do that is across a huge different array of activities. And so first off, public speaking is super important. Like I said earlier, whether you're having an interview with someone you're trying to apply for a job with, study abroad, working next semester as a part of your co-op, whether you're, it could be anything. And we've seen from so many people, alumni and current people who are working that in the corporate setting, if you don't have this skill, you're at a huge loss. And I think Georgia Tech trains us really well for the majors that we're in, But what it doesn't teach us well in is how to communicate. Written, I think, as well, but also spoken. And so we're here to help provide that for you all. So the actual meeting is kind of broken up into a couple different areas. The first is some sort of instruction. You've got a couple advisors, and then those of us on the exec board who usually spend somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes at the beginning of each meeting where we can talk to you about a couple different characteristics of a good speech that I'm going to get into later. We'll talk about how to nail an interview. We'll talk about how to present well to your peers, how to gauge your audience and how to work with them. So we deal with everything. And we're always, when we get to this at the end, we want to know what you all want to get out of the Public Speaking Club as well. I'm not working with my agenda. I want it to be your agenda. So tell us how we can best serve your needs. The second is we watch a lot of videos. You'll see one more at this meeting today, and I think it really serves as a great avenue to critique and watch some really good speeches and some really bad ones. And I think we can learn a lot from actually critiquing them, evaluating them, discussing. I want this to be a really interactive setting for everyone. I think the more interactive, the better, and the more you're going to get out of it. I don't want to be preaching up here, and I know you guys don't want that either. The third thing is impromptu and evaluation. And this is by far the biggest and the most important part of the Public Speaking Club. We're actually going to have some time for this later. We're calling it icebreakers for this first meeting. But we want you all to be up here speaking at least, once a meeting if possible. Sometimes there's too many people to do that, but we always want you all up here speaking. And the reason is, you can't get better without practice. It's that legendary rule, practice makes perfect, and it's no different with public speaking. So when you get up here and you're practicing in front of an audience, whether you say 100 times in a minute or twice in a minute, there's always room for improvement, and you'll see that the more you get up here and speak. If you're coming every week and you kind of sit in the back and don't engage and come up here and actually practice, you won't see that improvement. And lastly, I'll show you real quick the 24 characteristics of a good speech. And this was sent to us from our advisor, and we go through this a lot. We refer to it most meetings, and they're kind of split up into a couple different categories. There's voice characteristics, visual characteristics, and delivery tools. Now, we won't get into the visual as much, or excuse me, we won't get into, where is it? So the delivery tools as much, because some of that's a little bit more advanced. Your rhythm and your repetition, your parallel structure, some of that stuff that I'm not even that familiar with, and frankly, isn't that necessary for the type of speaking that we're going to be doing. However, the top 14 are incredibly important. Your volume, the speed at which you deliver your speech, your eye contact, your hand gestures, your body language, that's all super important. So we're going to refer to this a lot. And the idea is that over time, you'll get better at actually using each characteristic in a speech when you're speaking with peers and whoever else. So the more that you can use in a given speech, the better. All right. So we've got a little bit of new member information that I'd like to give you. The first of which is dues. Dues are $15 for the semester. And to answer your immediate question of what does that go to, the first thing is our speaker's manual. And what basically you get if you pay the $15 dues to join the club is a speaker's manual that was put together by our exec board. And a lot of effort was put into it by our previous president, Ravi Dayawai, who is since gone and working in Washington, D.C. and going to Harvard pretty soon. He's a solid guy. If you didn't get to meet him, that's a shame. But the speaker's manual is a great resource. That's something that we want to start using more in each meeting, but we clearly can't cover everything. There's everything from how to give a demonstrative speech, how do you do something, and how can you explain that to us. Informational speech, persuasive speeches. We can't focus on prepared speeches as much in here because, frankly, we don't have time to write a prepared speech every week because we're so busy with other things. But if you can, use that on your own time, and we'll be referring to it here, that would be great. So that comes with the $15 dues. It also goes to other expenses that we have as a club, like food, a guest speaker, anything like that. So I believe, and I hope you do as well, that $15 is a pretty good deal for an entire year. So if you're back next semester, which I hope you all are, you don't have to pay dues again. if you're not currently on our email list, Anita up at front can help you out. She's got her computer here where you can sign in and get on our interest list. And then if you pay your dues, you get on our members list. Okay, I would like to talk a little bit about what's new this year as well. In fact, if I could have Shinjini come up and go over these couple things here. She is our vice president. Her name is Shinjini Das. If you could all welcome her up, that'd be great.
Hey guys, first of all, I'm really excited that you all are here. We're very excited to start again. And public speaking is something that is very, very important in today's world, as I'm sure you know already, which is why you're here. It's used everywhere. I mean, from presentations in the classroom to senior design to employee presentation. I mean, it's just everywhere. Everything you do is related to speaking. So we're very excited you're here. So a little bit about what's new this year. We're going to have monthly workshops, and we're still in talks about what exactly we want this to be, but from what I was suggesting to John, I was suggesting more like campus-wide events. So if we bring in a speaker from maybe a different part of Georgia Tech, or if we give a speech on how to give a speech, because that's very popular, more popular than you might think. So something like that, and have you all come out, or maybe have you all speak. So we're still in talks, but we definitely want to involve the campus community and help everybody become a better public speaker. So that's something that we're in talks about. So it's called monthly workshops. And then clubs and organization support. Once again, reaching out to those organizations, reaching out to those clubs. I know last year we did a presentation with the Taiwanese American Association on public speaking, and I think they were having their officer elections, and it turned out really good for them because they learned how to give a speech, they learned how to speak in front of people without being shy, and they really benefited, and we had a blast. So that was a lot of fun. So we would definitely want to reach out to more clubs and organizations. And please feel free, I'm sure you all are in a ton of other organizations. Let us know. We'd love to reach out to them. We'd love to get in touch with them because, again, this is something that is just so important that I don't see anybody really turning us down unless they have date issues. Guest speakers, once again, I know not last year, but the year before we had a lot of those, from comedians to other speakers from Georgia Tech to just a whole range of people, guest speakers, and that's really exciting, keeps things fresh. And the website, we do have a website. It's currently not up? Not yet. Okay, it's not yet up, but it soon will be, and it's very nice. One of our colleagues here at Tech is very talented. He has made it for us, and it's beautiful. So you will have that up, and over there we'll have all the information about the club, all the meeting dates, our names, our email addresses, and really everything. And I believe we're trying to work out something with you getting access to the speaker's manual. So we'll have all that up and running. But we're very excited that you all are here. I see some new faces, see some old gold faces. But once again, we're very excited. We're ready to take this to a new level. And yeah, welcome.
All right. One last thing I forgot to mention is we have a video camera back there in case you didn't see that. And we won't be doing it today, so don't freak out. But whenever we have impromptu speeches or when anyone's actually speaking in front of the audience, we try and record that, and here's why. When you get a chance to go back and watch that video, you see 10 things that you didn't think you heard or think you said when you were up here. It's a beautiful tool to go back and improve your speaking, and it's pretty dang scary, I'll be honest. It's not a good feeling to watch yourself speaking, but I guarantee that if you do sit there and watch it, it's going to be a great way that you can actually improve your skill. So, additionally, the way we allow you to see that is we post them on our YouTube channel. It's called GTPSC, and we'll get to that later and provide that link for you at some other time. The executive decision that we made last year is we're going to post it. If you're not comfortable with that, just let us know and we'll take it right off. Or not post it if you get it to us before that. All right, so moving right along, I want to take this time to hear from you all. And please, yeah, I can tag team this with Shinjini. If you guys could throw out a couple ideas, a couple thoughts of what you either thought the Public Speaking Club was going to be, and just some other things that you actually think public speaking is in general. So go ahead.
Just shout them out. Our friends do. And give us your name when you talk.
What is public speaking? We've talked about it a little bit, but what do you guys think it is yourself?
Yes. I'm Erica. Just like daily conversations, but you're talking in front of like a crowd or a group of people.
I just thought it was just me.
Well, my name is Mario. I just thought public speaking was just a way to convey, like, basically talk to whatever you want to say, but coherently without stuttering, like I just did.
You'll find that since being in the club, you have a very, very sensitive radar. Even when you're not speaking in this room, I do that a lot. Is one of my weaknesses. And when I'm outside of here and say the word or if I hear it from someone else, my immediate thought is, man, that was a negative point on their public speaking record, which is kind of silly, but you'll notice that. And that's good for yourself, because you do improve that way. Anything else? Go ahead and throw something out. Yeah. Anything you feel differently now than you did before?
Okay, let's talk about what you want to get out of this, all right? Because it's not about us here, right? It's about you. So what do you want to get out of this? 1 year from now, when you're done with this, and hopefully you'll come back. But what do you want to say that I've really accomplished this? What is that? I want to hear. Give us your name, too.
My name is Karan, and I'd like to be more comfortable with a wider audience when I'm speaking about something. And, of course, time management when I'm talking about whatever I'm talking about.
That's great. If I could touch on that for a second, time management is really difficult. I was in high school once and had to give a 7-minute speech. I think it was the final one. It was the longest one we had to give, and it lasted 14 minutes. And while I was up there, I had no idea I was speaking for that long. I got done and saw the time on my rubric thing that I got the grade on. Minus points for going so long. Up here, we give you a time limit. We say, here's a speech that needs to be 2 to 3 minutes. Give it. Or 5 to 6 minutes. And if you can nail it, that's great. And in the evaluations that we return to you, that's something that we look for. So that's a great point, and you can work on that while you're here. Sure, do you want to say that?
Sure. So basically, whenever you give a speech here, and you'll do a lot more impromptu than prepared, so just it'll be 2 to 3 minutes, there will always be a counter, so counting word distractions. Most commonly but there are others. They're very innovative ones. Or even, nonverbal distractions. Verbal and nonverbal distractions are huge. I'm sure you all hear them all the time on speeches, and you criticize them, like laugh about those people, but then it's like, when it's you, it's different, right? So we have an counter, and then we have a timer. So all your speeches will be timed, and you'll be told. And often, in certain settings, like he was saying, when he gave a speech, no one told him, stop, like, you're done, be quiet. But sometimes that does happen. Sometimes you have timers at 1 minute, at 30 seconds saying stop. And with our case, we definitely do that. We give you signals so that you know when to stop. But for the most part, you need to have this internal body clock. I know it's a little hard, but we'll make it for you. So.
A lot of this stuff doesn't come naturally. I think some people are born with a certain gift to public speak, but if you're not, doesn't mean you can't reach that. There's a lot to be learned, and there's a lot to be learned with the natural-born public speakers as well. So we're going to watch a quick video called Secrets of Body Language, and then we're going to come and discuss that real quick. And I want you guys to look out for an interesting fact. It's a percentage of how much words are used in speaking and how important they are. So look out for that, and I'll see if you guys catch it at the end.
It's hidden meaning. It's hidden meanings. It's secrets. This is a world where what we say is all important.
They said this day would never come.
We hang on every word.
Tomorrow, we begin again.
But are we getting all the message?
Bolder, darker, many psychopaths, serial killers, handwriting.
Research has shown that just 7% of human communication is through the actual words.
93% of what we communicate with others is nonverbal.
Bam, bam, bam!
93%. Think about that. 93%. So it's our tone of voice, our pitch, our posture, micro expressions on our face, and different gestures that we might use. So we put all the significance on 7% for words. We shouldn't really be doing that.
Beyond the words lies a fascinating world of nonverbal communication.
Body language. Every moment you spend with others, you can make it valuable, and if you're in business, you can make it profitable. Body language is crucial.
For those who study nonverbal communication, one of the first indicators they look out for is the way someone's body moves.
Alright. That's actually a really good series from the History Channel that goes into how presidents, move and walk and talk to sort of, show their power, and it's really interesting. But did anyone catch that stat? What percentage of your talk or verbal communication is actually words? 7%. That kind of shocked me the first time I heard that, because usually what you think about communicating is kind of the words that I'm saying, and I have to be careful, and that's all true, of course. But by and large, when you're giving a speech, one of the least important factors, the smallest things that people remember or pick up on are the actual words, which is a little bit scary, but that's the fact of the matter. And there's so many studies that have gone on to show that, and the fact that 93% is body language and your tone of voice and just the nonverbal is amazing. And we're not all about body language. We do want to see some of the style, the words you're saying, how you, the rhythm that you're speaking at. But our main purpose in here is not necessarily what your story's about, or what you did last weekend, or what your dream is for the future. We're not opposed to hearing those things, but we're looking for the actual way that you're delivering your speech, the body language that you use. You'll notice me up here using my hands a lot, and clearly that's what people notice more than words that are coming out of their mouth. So it's everything from facial expressions to eye contact to the tone of voice, the speed, everything that we've gone over already. So I just wanted to show you that again. I think that's really interesting. So is there anything else that any of you want to see from our club? And you guys might learn these things and suggest things later, and that's fine. But is there any last minute suggestions, or what are you guys looking for?
Well, I think it's been mentioned, as I came here just so I can learn how to talk in front of interviewers, when I'm in a position. I know sometimes they would have 5 people interviewing you, and also when I do get a job in the coming years, I would want to be able to talk to my supervisors. It's just to learn how to be able to talk to them professionally in the workplace.
Yep, that's big. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for me, when I communicate with my boss, generally it's very highly technical. Okay, we're doing X and then Y, and then if I mix up X and Y, he gets very ticked off. So it's just learning how to communicate. Also, they say 7% is just the words, but for me, those 7% is very, very important. So being able to make sure that when I'm speaking, I don't get flustered and mix up facts, mix up statements, mix up other stuff like that. That's the one thing I'm really trying to get.
Right, and you pointed out something really important, because here at Georgia Tech, coming in, I did competitive public speaking for 4 years in high school, but coming in, I was like, speaking. But speaking is everywhere, and whether it be technical, like his job, or it be that you are a public speaker, or you are an actress, or and that is all you do, right? So there's more focus on what you're saying. In either case, it's very, very important, and it's very important to enunciate all your words. It's very important to come off sounding very clear, if you're talking about thermodynamic equations, or you're talking about how to give a speech, right? So in either case, it's very, very important for you to come off sounding very confident and very sure of what you're saying. So don't think, oh, I'm an engineer, I don't really need to, but you need it. Trust me. You don't know, but you do.
Anything else? Yeah.
Sometimes I find it easier to speak when I'm making up my own words as I speak, and it's really hard when somebody else gives you a speech and then you have to go up and say it. I mean, you just can't get the tone, and you really screw up a lot.
Yeah.
And so I want to know why.
Sure. I'll say one thing real quick, and Shiji might have more later, but for me, the difficulty is if I'm not familiar with what's in front of me, if I don't know, if I haven't memorized what are on my note cards or what's here in this essay written in front of me, eye contact is really difficult. I've given a lot of speeches where I have notes in front of me and it's so easy to read off them, and you lose your place sometimes if you don't know what you're trying to say. It's kind of counterintuitive because the words are there, but I think it's easier to stumble up than if you're, like you said, kind of making stuff up on the fly. So we did one activity last year where we actually gave people some inspirational speeches, and they were already written out, and they had to come up here and deliver it. So that was pretty interesting. It's a lot more difficult than you would imagine.
A lot of the words were cut off there too. That was a challenge for a lot of people, just to keep the flow going because you don't know what the words were. Right. So, and in those cases, it's not going to be perfect. And no one's expecting you to be perfect. But the biggest thing is for you to come off sounding very confident, right? And that's our goal. It's not to, give a perfect presentation. It's to give a confident presentation full of enunciation and confidence.
Anything else?
I'm Jeremiah. I wanted to improve, I have a cold right now.
Okay.
But, improve the fluidity of my speech, I guess, because a lot of times when I give presentations, it's not very smooth as it goes over. I'll skip over parts and then have to come back to it and not explain it too well. So I guess timing and fluidity of going through a presentation, especially a technical one.
Sure. Do you have anything on that?
I was just going to add, with the technical, it's just even more so important to keep your audiences engaged because the topic is dry. It's not inherently exciting. So that's the biggest challenge. And I know we have a lot of strategies for
Yeah.
Okay, so he's gone over the 24 strategies. And with that, for example, varying your speed of delivery, eye contact, movement to and fro, it keeps things exciting. And we're not saying, use humor in a presentation that's not supposed to be humorous or funny, but we're saying make it exciting, make it engaging, so that, let's say, when you listen to yourself, you wouldn't be bored, and you'd be impressed, and you'd want to hire yourself. So it's that's our goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of times, the way I've seen improvement in my own speaking is if I don't know what to say next, I don't fill that gap with there's, in addition to the ahs and ers, there's tons of filler words that you can use. The word light is probably the most common. Uhs and ers, and a lot of those can be cut out if you know how to contain yourself, pause if you need to. Pauses are a wonderful tool to use when giving a speech, or filling it with other meaty stuff that doesn't have to be, likes and ahs and ers and ums. Anything else? Yes?
English is not I'm Benjamin, by the way. English is not my first language, so I want to improve that. My public speaking skills in English, and also in a professional environment, not mix up technical words like you said.
Right. That's awesome. And it's so cool to see non-native English speakers in here, because we have a lot, and we've had a lot in the past, and I think it helps a lot. A lot of the people that aren't native English speakers have seen some really serious improvement.
I have a big problem with when I get nervous, flustered, I tend to speak really fast. I don't know if I'm speaking like that right now, but so I tend to speak really fast, and the other person has to ask me 2-3 times what exactly you're saying, and I have to say it slowly. So I really want to improve on that. Yeah, so that's really just everyday communication also can be a problem sometimes.
Right, and I know I was reading this one article somewhere, and he defined public speaking as a series of one-on-one conversations, right? And so when you're talking in front of 200 people, 100 people, 5 people, 0 people, whatever, in front of the mirror, make sure that you're not nervous, because there's no reason for you to be nervous at all. So when you're talking to someone, literally, the trick that I use a lot is look over their head and point at a certain, point at a certain point, basically on the wall or wherever you're looking, and make eye contact, but at the same time, if you find yourself getting nervous, just slightly look up a little, but you still think that I'm looking at you, right? So that's a skill a lot of speakers use, because when they're talking in front of, let's say, 100, 200 people, it's very easy to become nervous and flustered, and if they just stop and, keel, it's gonna be memorable for different reasons. So it's just important for you to, if you ever get nervous, seriously just find a point over a person's head or over an audience's head, on the wall or something, and just focus on that, but seriously then it still looks like you're still making eye contact with your audience.
Yeah, and I can assure you, you're not the only one that struggles with that, and if there's any others of you who are thinking the same thing, I guarantee you there's at least someone else out there who struggles with that too, and that's totally fine. And I struggle with all that stuff all the time. So, anything else? Yes?
Personally, my goal is to develop the skills to actually deliver something with the impact you want it to be received. Like if it's to impress or whatever it is that the contents of your speech are giving, and actually the receiver to receive it that way. And English is not my first language, so I'm gonna get that. That's my goal.
Sure. Yes.
I think I'd like to add being able to be a bit more spontaneous, especially with something like impromptu speech.
Yes.
I mean, just because words just don't come all the time. As fast as they should.
And that's so natural, and we work on that a lot. Great. Well, I'm gonna have to cut it off there. And our next step here, as you guys have all seen, this is the scary part. It's time for you all to come up here and speak. I'm not waiting until next meeting. The time is now. And ignore everything we just, well, don't ignore it, but don't worry about all the stuff we just said. It's okay to come up here and say 100 times. It's not a big deal. So please come up here. All we're asking is that you give some sort of icebreaker. Come tell us who you are. If you want, you can list your name, major, year, all that stuff, although try and stray away from that a little bit. We don't have to go there.
We can go to the Joseph direction.
Yeah, we can, and we hear that a lot. So if you want to, that's fine, but come up here and speak about something you're comfortable about. Say your name, maybe where you're from, and then ramble about something. And we're going to cut it off around 1 minute, so that's all you're looking to speak for. So
it's
do
a
we?
long time when you're up there.
Do we have any first takers? Yes. Come on